Hello, I will be discussing Lucid, the price dropping dramatically today. Also, what it would take for Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway to buy Lucid. If we look at a prior deal that they had made, I have 20 years of experience in the financial industry. I also have my own firm. This video is for education purposes only, entertainment purposes only. Please click see the disclaimer link. Any investments we discuss, assume you can lose all of your investment. This is not a recommendation, again, for entertainment purposes only, but click the subscribe button and the like button. And let's go ahead and pause the music and get straight into it. So if we start with, actually, let's go into the Lucid deck. And so on this deck right here is, of course, we'll be focusing the majority on this video as far as the vehicles that they are producing, but they also mentioned that they have prototypes for these two companies as well, these two subsidiaries of Lucid Group. And in 2022, they will expect to go into commercial production and start deriving revenue. Now, these are going to be not material to the revenue for several years, is my guess. But this is some more options embedded in the stock. But let me go ahead and get to the financial numbers and the vehicle delivery. So this is, we're seeing the manufacturing plant. So here, the deliveries, they're expecting about 20,000 for next year. They've already reported about 11,000 orders right now, which is about $1 billion in revenue, which next year they're projecting a modest 2.2 billion. So that will give them another year to, we'll see if the supply chain that the auto industry is experiencing is mitigated by the end of 2022. And then they'll be able to start ramping up over the next few years, where they can go from 20,000. This is when they bring on their next vehicle, the SUV, in 2023. They've already reported that they're expanding their Casa Grande plant for expanding the square footage to start for additional production. So it's all a question of demand. So we go from 20,000 to 250,000, and then the revenue is going to be a 10x, 2.2, 5.5, 10 billion, 13.9, and then 23 billion. So the next slide, I wanted to show the gross profit numbers. De minimis for next year, 1.1 for 2023, 2024, 25, 26. And then you see the EBITDA, free cash flow, you're not really going to see for roughly 5 years. So let's go ahead and go now towards Berkshire Hathaway. Back in September 29th of 2008, Lee Lu, who manages money for Charlie Munger, who's a vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, discussed BYD with Charlie Munger. Charlie did his research, and then he gave his rationale and argument to Warren. They bought it in September 2008 for 10% stake, Hong Kong 1.8 billion, US dollar 230 million, roughly a 10% stake. Let me go ahead and bring up just a very basic spreadsheet I created. Lucid today closed roughly about $18 a share. So there was, it was down double digits. Today was the first day that the PIPE investors into the special purpose acquisition company. Back in February, they invested about 4.4 billion. Today is the first day that they can start selling their shares. So that's caused some downward pressure on the stock. But on this channel, we want to look at it as fundamental investors. So Warren Buffett studying under Ben Graham. Ben Graham said that investment is most intelligent when it's most business-like. So let's look at it from how a business person would look at it, not as a day trader or technical chartist or analyst. So 1.6 billion shares, multiply that by the share price where it closed today, 28.8 billion market cap. Enterprise value is more important than market cap because it includes the debt as well as the cash. So because of the 4.4 billion that they received from the SPAC, or the special purpose acquisition company that they closed roughly a month ago, they have 4.5 billion roughly in cash, no debt, so about 24 billion enterprise value. And then I took these numbers from the investor deck that I just showed you. So in 2022, the enterprise value to sales is about 11, in 2023 about 4, 24, 2.5 roughly, 2025, 1.7, and then finally 5 years from now, 1. If you compare that with NIO, NIO has a price to sales, or EV to sales, roughly around 14, XPeng around 24, Tesla around 20. Berkshire bought BYD in 2008 during the financial crisis. The Chinese stock market was down over 50%, roughly 56%. The revenue to sales that Berkshire bought BYD was close to 3, roughly 3. So it's a tad under that, actually. So now if we didn't have the financial crisis that year, and if Charlie gave his argument to Warren and they wanted to still take the 10% stake, they may have had to pay maybe 6 or 7 times on a EV to sales. So now I also included gross profit, EV to gross profit. Next year is de minimis. In 2023, Lucid's gross profit is, if you compare that to the EV to gross profit, about 21, and then in 2024, 11, 2025, 7, and then roughly about 4.5 in 5 years. So free cash flow I included as well. This is 5 years out, is 6% on a free cash flow yield. So to buy in at the same price that Berkshire bought into BYD, which by the way, they've made about 30 times their investment, it's about a 32% CAGR. So the math is they earn 32% per year over roughly a 12-year period. They made their 30 times their money on BYD. So going back, if you wanted to buy in at where Berkshire bought BYD, it's roughly about 3 years from now. So now if next time we have a recession or a huge market sell-off, then yeah, you could probably buy Lucid at that price. And no one knows what the stock will do tomorrow or next week or even next month. But if the demand is there, the CEO of Lucid, by the way, Peter Rawlinson, there's a book that came out about Tesla called Pure Play. They do mention Rawlinson in a few chapters. He has over several decades of experience in the automotive industry. He was a chief engineer at Tesla for the Model S. And if he can execute, if the demand is there, we already know that in the United States, they want more than half of all cars in the next 5 to 10 years to be EV. In California, the law is over the next roughly 10 to 15 years, all new cars will be electric. Japan and other countries have come out of that as well. So over the next 10 to 15 years, all new cars, you can postulate that all cars will be electric. There's over 100 million cars sold every year. They'll start out in the luxury space and then move into the SUV that I mentioned in roughly a year and a half. 5 years from now, they'll start coming down in the price points. But even in a low single percentage of the TAM or of the EV market over the coming years, Lucid will be able to hit these numbers. It's in their investor deck, and so the question is are the cars going to be that high quality? There's a Motor Trend article that came out. You can Google that. The range of the car is the longest out in the industry, and it was a pretty favorable review. You can read it for yourself. The person on Motor Trend, he estimates, or he thinks that production will start in October of this year, so we're roughly about a month away. And then Lucid came out and said that on September 27th, they're inviting the press and others to come and view their plant. So if we assume that production does start in October, and again, assuming the quality is there and the demand is there, we already know they have the capacity for it because of the plant they have in Arizona. And of course, they also talked about plants that they will have to construct in the coming years for China and the Middle East, Europe, so forth. But this could be a 10x investment. If they're roughly at these price to sales of NIO, XPeng, Tesla the next 5 years, even if these price sales come down a lot, and you would still make several multiples of your money based on where you're buying at today, which is an enterprise value of 24 billion. That doesn't mean that there won't be 50% drops or more. There won't be lots of volatility, Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. Please click the like button if you like the video, and also the subscribe button, and I appreciate your time.